this is Bill Moore for EV World, and we're going to talk today to Rakesh Dhawan. Rakesh, for longtime listeners, will be familiar with him. He is the founder and CEO of Falco e-bikes and or Falco e-motors to be more exact. And we're going to talk about have him sort of catch us up on what's happening within his business. Since it's been, I think it was like November of 2015 that we did our last interview, Rakesh.
That's correct. That's correct, Bill.
Yeah.
Yes, it has. We are a technology developer company, and so we are constantly developing technologies, pushing the envelope. And we have done something very exciting in the past year or so, and as you recall, we had launched our original platform sometimes back in 2012, 2013 timeframe,
Right.
and
Yep.
we have sold quite a few thousand units in the field, but at the same time we also received a lot of interesting feedback from customers, and so we have been incorporating some of this feedback into our development. We're also trying to our goal has always been to develop, I call it an ecosystem, where people or the end users can get a whole lot more benefit than just, just having a single use for the platform. So
Right. Okay.
so I'd love to talk to you about that,
Yep.
in terms of what we have done, etc.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, just for everybody, so that we understand what we're talking about here, this is an electric hub motor that they have developed, and all of the associated support and electronics and things that goes in it here. It is the successor to one of the very earliest electric bikes that I ever owned. In fact, I still own a Tidal Force M750. So this is what would it be? A grandchild?
Perhaps.
A grandchild or a child, sibling, something or another of that motor. So, all right. So bring us up to speed. So you've introduced some new features and things in it.
Yeah, so I have got, here is my, our
Oh, good.
2018 platform. So this is
Okay.
how this is. You basically have, you can see the form factor you have
Right.
here,
Right.
and what 2017, what we had done was we were actually lagging behind the market. We had a freewheel on 2016 models, and so one of the challenges we had was how to incorporate the cassette. A cassette is what is the cassette has been in the bike industry for a long time.
Right. This would be
And
the gears, so you can change the different gears and things on it.
that's right. That's
Right.
right. So the gears, all the top end bicycles come with what is called a cassette or a freehub,
Right.
and all the low end bicycles come with what is called a freewheel or a screw on freewheel.
Okay.
Right. So I am going to hang on one second, Bill. I'm going to shut off this. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I think it's
While you're dealing with that, I have people on the house behind me here we got our new roof on this week, which is why late last week, which is why our interview was delayed. And now this week they've started on the house behind us. Just to catch everybody up, we had to have a new roof here because back in June we got hit by 125-mile-an-hour winds. I was standing on my porch in a sheltered area and watched the winds peel the shingles off my neighbor's roof. And I was thinking, boy, I hope mine's stay. And about the time I thought that, I saw my shingles
oh wow,
disappearing. So
God.
I know what it's like to stand in I don't know 125 miles, what's that, like a Category 2 maybe hurricane, Category 3 hurricane?
That's a lot of wind.
That's a lot of wind. I know what it's like now. I stood out in it. So it was dumb, but I did it. So anyway. So if you hear banging going on, that's the guy putting a new roof on the house across the back of my yard here. So go ahead
Yeah.
now. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So everybody's okay. I
Oh yeah,
went
we're
through.
all fine. Yep, you bet.
That's good. That's good. So Bill, this is our 2018 model. Essentially, one of the major changes we had done from 2016 to 2017 was to introduce essentially a cassette or a Freehub.
Okay.
And also we had essentially standardized on a motor platform. We went to a single motor platform. We had several motor platforms.
All right.
And the problem with having several motor platform was that it was very complex manufacturing. We had different axle sizes, we had different, up to 1500-watt motors, etc. And so what we did is we said, no, we want to standardize it. So we went to a single motor platform. This is now a platform which essentially can produce 750 watts of output power.
Okay. All right. I think
right?
the bike, I think the bike that I have had that you provided me is what, one of the early 500 watts.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So you have the 500-watt system, and so this hub is able to essentially meet all the requirements of European. In the European market, we limit it to 250 watt,
right.
And then in Canada we limit to 500, and then in US we limit to 750 watt.
Right.
And it's pretty light enough to be able to be a fairly good competition good competition to Go Swiss Drive or Bionix or NeoDrive, right. and have a better performance than those platforms.
So how do you control the differences then between, if it's the same motor platform, how do you adjust it for the 250 watt limit in Europe, the 500 in Canada, and of course it's 750 already here. So what do? You control that with software?
Yes. Primarily we control that through software.
Okay. All right. Okay. So explain now what's the advantage of having this hub system over the freewheeling hub system from my perspective? What does that do for me?
Well, so actually, the freewheel system essentially were obsolete, or not obsolete, but they were not used. I think since 1980s that the freewheel system have been obsolete in top end bicycles.
Okay.
And the reason is that the freewheel systems are very difficult to maintain. So you can get the freewheel on, but removing a freewheel is like fighting tooth and nail.
Okay.
You cannot remove the freewheel unless you have a wheel built, and you need a lot of power to remove it.
Right. Okay.
Right. And also the mechanical design of a freewheel, it's a sort of a single bearing design. So it's more of a cantilever design. So it actually flops back and forth as you pedal. Whereas with the cassette system, you have actually two bearings spaced apart. And these two bearings spaced apart allow you, so the cantilever effect is gone, and it allows you fairly steady platform or steady support for changing the gears.
Okay. All right. So what I have on the model you've got me is the older version of that, is the freewheeling.
That's right. It's a freewheel system. Yeah, I mean, we have, it was less of an issue with our system because we had used steel parts or hardened steel parts, right? But bicycles normally, when they use a freewheel, they have got a aluminum part in there. Right. So with the aluminum part, over a period of time, the aluminum will break off. That was another problem with the freewheels. Whereas with our motor, this particular part, which is similar to what we had for freewheel, was made of hardened steel.
Okay.
Right. So it was less of an issue.
Durable then.
Yes, far more durable than normally what you'll find in a bicycle. But even then, my market is conditioned today to think about Freehub.
Okay.
So all bicycle manufacturers or all even bike dealers, when they look at a freewheel system, they think it's a cheap system. Okay. And when they look at a Freehub system, they think it's an expensive system. So it's a mind conditioning which has been done by Shimano and all other companies. And so as a result, we had to incorporate the Freehub system into our motor.
Okay. So the
Now,
the advantage of this then to a buyer, or to, in this case, well, yeah, ultimately the end, the person's going to be who's going to be driving the bike. The advantage to him of having that is what, just greater durability, or what does that do for him mechanically in terms of riding the bike and using the electric motor?
right. So, so one of the advantages of a Freehub system is that you have got greater durability. You also have access to a wider variety of gears,
Oh,
right? So you
okay.
can, and it's easier to be able to have the flexibility. I can convert into 7 gears or 6 gears or 5 gears or even a single gear quite easily by removing. So I have access to larger variety of gear systems. I can use
Oh, okay.
Shimano gear system or SRAM gear system, and then the company is also investing into coming up with new gear system. They are based on Freehub. So for example, we can do 11 speed here, 11 speed Freehub, 11 speed gear system. We can put on this motor, but you cannot do that with a freewheel at the
Okay.
moment, right?
All right.
Because nobody is paying attention to freewheel, or nobody is doing any further research, or so that's the part, is that to be more widely compatible with all the bike
Right.
components,
Right.
you end up using the Freehub. So that was a major change we did from 2016 to 2017, is try to standardize the motor platform, and then try to standardize our compatibility with standard bike components.
Okay. So
And then
so how is the business going then? I guess you've got a lot. In fact, I just got an email from a company over in China. They've gone now to the mid motor. Is there sort of a battle developing between the hub and the mid motor at this point?
Oh yeah, well, I think the battle is already been going on since Bosch introduced the mid motor in 2011.
All right.
So the battle lines have already been drawn, and I think so both the technologies, I think, are evolving. Of course, a lot more resources are being spent on mid motors than on direct drives. But I
Okay.
think at the end of the day, I think mid motors, both the technologies are going to stay in the market for a long time to come. And there has been a pushback on mid motors in markets like Netherlands, where we see 50-50 split between mid
Between
motors
the two.
and I mean, Germany is a different story, because Germany is the hometown, or Bosch territory.
Right.
So the
Right.
push for mid motor is harder. But I
Right.
think where Netherlands, where it's an even split, 50-50 in terms of mid motors versus, I mean, mid motors cause a significant amount of cost to a bike in terms of maintenance. And so I think uh, we think that in terms of having more benefit, having features, direct drive is always a better solution. Now,
Okay.
having said that, I think all the mountain bike craze, and I think is definitely uh, giving the companies a way to sell electric bikes, right? So it's more of a lifestyle you begin to sell, then so people think being able to have an electric mountain bike with a mid motor is cool.
Right.
So I think
Right.
that's where the battle is being won, I think, by mid motor companies, is saying, okay, I can have a cool electric mountain bike, and I can sell the lifestyle,
Right.
which becomes, I think, an important part of marketing message,
Yeah.
is how do you sell it. But
Right.
at the end of the day, mid motors is an inferior technology in many ways. It is still using gears, and it still produces noise, although a lot of advances are being made in mid motors in terms of reducing the noise, in terms of being able to have more reliability But you can't get away from the gears. You still need the gears in. So whenever you have gears, you have limited lifetime, no matter what you use.
Yeah.
You have an absolutely limited lifetime whenever you use gears. And so as a result, an investment into a mid motor is a limited investment. It will not last for more than few years. And Bosch has gone through significant, I think, revisions